I'm Cory Engen, Ag Data Specialist here with Crystal Valley. Recently stepped into this role here just a couple months ago from a little more generic precision ag specialist role. I focus a little more towards the data and software side of things. So that really ranges anywhere from content creation, development, crunching all the data in collaboration with these guys and the agronomy sales team. It's really all a team effort. And our winter conference last year was a good event. We brought in somewhere from 250 to 300 growers, I believe, and people from industry as well. So it was a great event, and just want to highlight a few things, kind of how we take a spin and really put a Crystal Valley brand on some of the things that we're doing in addition to the products and services we offer through our vendors. So it really becomes a full circle approach, and it all started right up there at the top with our replicated plots, but we've expanded that over the past 6-7 years to include a myriad of things, everything you see up here and more, things that have been talked about today. So it started with our replicated plots really, and here we have corn and soybean replicated plots as well as field trials. So we're looking at that every year, and that doesn't change very much. We've gotten a pretty good relationship with our plot cooperators. They enjoy the collaboration, being able to put them in. Some of them go walk it themselves, take a look at it, take some ownership in it. Kind of a fun and unique opportunity we have to connect with some of our growers, but there's a lot of good information there. So we've seen our plot planner, and what the numbers that were thrown out before are exactly right. In 2017 we planted just shy of 500 acres of plot trials alone on 8 field research trials, and 27 replicated plots. I think we're up on that for this year. And then some fun numbers. We vacuumed out about 580 varieties of seed throughout the spring. And we joke it's the only planter that needs to be greased. The wheels need to be greased before the actual planting parts need to, because we put on a lot of road miles. So over 1,000 road miles in a year, and that just goes to show the area that we cover and the distribution of these plots. We really lay them out to take a look at our geography as a whole. So I don't want to get into too much detail, but here's what it's all about. If we can take a look at 5 different brands of seed and get their heavy hitters each and every year and create some of them we create a pretty good mix. We try to get about half and half with old products, new products, things that are, the good old home run hitters that have been around 3-4 years, and also take a look at the new stuff. So we look at that, and we can kind of take that into geography then and look at plot averages. Not only from a bar graph standpoint, but geographical heat map standpoint. And really gives us a chance to regionalize this. We're working on getting the density here a little bit more spread out even yet. And I feel like we have a lot of potential here with these things. So that's really kind of the meat and potatoes of what our replicated plots are about. We do them for corn and soybeans. And we get a lot of good data off of that, and we look at it in a few different ways, break it out for our agronomists at each of their locations. Some of them may be the only agronomists at that location running the ship, and they're taking this data regionally and really giving themselves a boost in their growers' eyes. Like they're armed with just as much information as their competition, and we hope to make that more. So then beyond the research side, we also take this somewhat to a mass data level. So for everyone that we do yield mapping for, we have a lot of different data layers in the background on that. But we can look at average corn yield by location, soybean yield by location. It's anonymous at this point. For those that are measuring information with the planter, we can also take a look and compare yield back to planting date. And what we've seen there is, what you're looking at there is green bars are yield, and each bar is a planting date as you go through, and you can see where the rainfalls hit. And then the blue bar there is acres per day. So we get a fair amount of acres in some of those cases. The guys that we're mapping for are doing about 15,000 acres a day in really the heat. So just an idea of how what kind of amounts of data we're working with here. We're cataloging this every year anonymously, and I feel like this is going to be a really good step forward for us as we look towards benchmarking information and things like that. Everybody, especially in a year like we've had, we're coming off a really wet harvest year. You guys are wondering, could I have done anything different to get better than that 150 bushel average I just took a hit on, you know? And then you guys are always, and it's before technology really came into ag, everybody's wondering what the neighbor's doing, right? This is a new way of kind of looking at that, and our management team is supportive of the analytics for decision making, and I feel like we have a lot of potential there. So we compare weather things as well, so it really just becomes a question of what information layers you can layer over it and having the availability of it. So weather information plays a huge one when it comes to planting date. Up here in Minnesota, we start jamming corn in as soon as the frost gets out of the ground. We get warm enough where we're not scared anymore, and so we start to look at what the effect on germination is, and we start to see a rain peak there in the blue line, and the black and orange lines there are soil temperatures and how they've fluctuated. Really gives us another idea, and we just kind of pick through this, and it takes us till the middle of winter, which is why it's a vote of confidence. But by the time we get all this data back and crunch the process, there's a few different ways that we take a look at that. And I think really the big take-home message here, you know, as we see it at Crystal Valley, is that, you know, we're a precision ag team, only that. We're not out selling agronomy products. We're not out sitting in floors. You know, we're dedicated to this, but we're working with our customers. You know, all of us are face to face with our growers at some point during the year, some more than others, but we are dedicated to precision ag, and that's our focus every single day, and that's where I think we can differentiate from a lot of our retail competition. You know, a lot of retailers take the standpoint that we need any warm body we can get in the floater in the fall and spring, and there's nothing wrong with that to a point, but we feel we have a focus here and the ability to serve our growers a little bit better with focus on data as well. And then in addition to some of the research efforts we've done, we also do some studies of our own. So we'll pick a few fields and some cooperators, and we'll take questions. We take questions from growers, we take questions from our agronomists, we take questions from management. And you know, really it's just kind of up to us to sort through that and figure out, you know, what strategic direction do we want to take. And it's about this time of year. Here in October, November, we got to start figuring this stuff out, because if we're starting to lay out fertilizer trials, that's a whole new process. And then it becomes a question of tracking it and managing that all the way through, so we don't get a hybrid split in the middle of it, or just an experimental, I went and threw out some foliar XYZ product out there because I thought it would be fun. Well, it's right in the middle of my trial, thanks, you know. So managing that is a pretty key part of it. We do ear counts and comparisons, so I'll speak a little bit to our internship program here. I guess each year we hire about 4 interns and give them the opportunity to kind of follow us and take a look at things from a retail cooperative precision ag standpoint. And it's more than soil sampling. We've really evolved that, I think, over the years. You know, no intern wants to soil sample every single day of their internship, and they really don't learn much when they go back to the classroom doing that. So we employ them to, you know, really take a look at all aspects of precision ag, and then additionally we let them focus. So, you know, yes, they do get time soil sampling, they get exposure to a little bit of everything, but as you move throughout the summer, you can kind of figure out which interns like to track in which direction, whether it's the hardware side, the data analytics side, or anywhere in between. Some of them like what they see over in the agronomy department and go spend some time over there with salespeople. And so it's all about creating a good experience there, but they're a large part of our research efforts as well, as far as in-season management, things like that. We also try to follow that up, and I feel like that's what one of the biggest challenges to successful internships is they're done before your data is collected. So we really try to keep in touch with our interns and take some ownership on that, to follow up after harvest time and say, hey, remember that trial, here's how it did. You know, so we feel that's important too. You know, we're not only focused on just the good old replicated plots and a ton of them, but we look towards what we may look to be doing in 20 years from now. And so multi-genetic corn planting has a fit for some operations, and it may not for others in some areas of the world, some areas of the country, but it's a product that's out there, and it's a really interesting and challenging one at the same time, because it requires a whole nother level of product knowledge, and especially on the seed genetics side, which we feel we have a pretty good ability to serve here with our genetic lines. 5 seed brands to work with. And so we can take different layers, different maps, take a look at things and see how things do. Now, do we do a ton of these? Probably not, but we remain committed to leveraging our hardware side of our business as well. It's all an integration. From the genetic side to the liquid trial side is a big one, between the starters on the planter and fungicides. We're measuring all of that. Closing wheels, a lot of things that we can put on a planter. Guys are wondering, well, how did that do? You know, I'm thinking about putting that on my planter next year. What did you guys see in that trial? Or a lot of those trials are laid out based on questions in the industry from growers and other people in the industry in general. So, a lot of information. So that's what my typical day looks like. I leverage Excel and databases quite heavily. And a lot of our stuff at its base really looks like this. It's just a matter of sorting through it, you know, and drilling it down. And the more data layers you collect, the better. And the more ways in which you quantify that data, the better. So when we work with a geography as large as we do, it's important to keep that sorted out. From the fungicide side, we feel that's probably our strongest data set we do have. We've been keeping track of that since 2009. And so I think this is a 2017 slide. We're up above 500 checks since 2009, side by side on fungicide. And we publish everything. You know, there's a few statistical artifacts there on the far left side of losses. Fungicide obviously doesn't hurt yield, but you can see by far and large, we're winning above and beyond that break-even line there. And so that's the kind of data we hope to keep going. And you know, ideally we would have this for every single product, and I think we're getting there. There's a lot of ways we can leverage current and future mapping software. It's just all a question of cataloging and managing it in a way that we can not only sort through it, but economically store it. So we take a look at some of our plots. In this case, almost quadrupling data points. We run into the middle of that plot with a strip of fungicide and we run out of it every time with that combine. And so we get really powerful yield by fungicide by hybrid response data. And we do this every year. You can see on the right there, the column is a column of repeat hybrids there as well. So we've got some really good multi-year data on not only hybrid performance, but hybrid performance by product. And I think that's going to be a big driver in the future of how decisions are made. Another one by population, visual on population, harvest intactness, you know, that's a big one too, is proving all areas of the value proposition of a product. You know, yield is what it's all about, but if you can't pick it up with the combine, there's a whole nother problem. So it's all angles of that conversation, and especially now with dollars needing to be justified in every area that they're spent and they're sent, you know, it really needs to be a holistic conversation on all aspects of the performance of that product, and that's where we feel our data has a little more power to inform some of those decisions than I think what typically has been put out there in the past and where things are moving forward. We've been through Farm America, we looked through a research block, and what's been said about that is absolutely right. It's a great 120-acre piece where we can control every part of that from start to finish. Nobody else is in there doing anything, there's no other products. We control it, we're laying it out this time of year, again with the fertility planning and things that need to happen. And we get a lot of pretty colored pictures out of it at the end of the day, but it's a ton of data points. And what's really neat about this is it's a ton of data points on a small area of ground. That strip is 600 feet long. And so we'll divide that even shorter than that, we'll divide that in half again. And do 300 acre checks, but with the technology that's out there, we get resolution at that level and we get quality data versus the old standard. The gold standard is the weigh wagon, and so we're taking the weigh wagon to a whole nother level with our yield checks, and that's what we're busy with this time of year, and it's just all a matter of following it up. We have side dress. We take in ROI, and that's the biggest thing. ROI is obviously a huge hot button topic this year, in the past 4 years, but taking it back to that, growers realize dollars and growers realize yield, and they rely on us and they trust us to bring them this information. You know, they've come to realize we're not out there just pushing product. You know, we're adding some value, and we're adding some value to them. We're not just padding our pockets with this information. We're bringing it to the grower and saying, hey, this is what we put together for you this year on this product that we really want you to get on board with, and take it from there. We do soybean research as well. I guess this was a white mold plot, but sometimes some of the best ones come from unintentional consequences, so it's just a matter of following it up. The real take-home thing here, though, is we're pretty focused on row crop corn and soybean production. And I think one of the things that really has been our biggest challenge over the past 8 years that precision ag has really taken off is the fact that we have a huge cushion in 4 to 5% average organic matters and CECs in the 20s and 30s. It's young soil, it's black, it's good stuff in most cases. The tile and drainage is usually the biggest problem. And so seeing that need to implement precision ag practices, whether it's variable rate or additional input products, plant health products, anything, it becomes a little bit more of a challenge to justify that when a lot of mistakes get erased by good growing conditions, good growing years, the past couple of years. This year's probably going to be an exception. But when we can prove that with our data and have some strength to that, but not just spit it out of a computer and throw it at them and say, here, this is what I threw in this computer. It's delivered through us. And I think that's going to be the real power behind a big data analysis platform moving forward is the ability of us to deliver it and maintain that level of trust with the grower. We leverage precision planting equipment pretty heavily in our trials, and it's one thing to do trials on that equipment, but we know that with that equipment on the planter, we're doing the best job planning that we can. We're isolating all variables, and that's how we lay out all of our trials. We're isolating all variables on, no matter what we're doing, we're measuring one thing. It's pretty key to research. I guess that's pretty basic. Everybody kind of expects that. So we really take it together, but this slide is really what it's all about. And we do a lot of stuff, and it can get kind of muddy at times, all the stuff that we kick out. And we're constantly focused on ways to deliver this information where it's organized easily. It's one thing for me to pull this thing up, this one trial up and show a guy because I know where it's at. But when you're working with a team of 20 plus agronomists and all various levels of technology proficiency, you really have to step into that advisory role at another level and kind of be that point source of information, not only for the grower but for our agronomists. And we feel we have a pretty unique opportunity to serve there. So, but it's all about putting a Crystal Valley brand on it. I mentioned it a little bit before. We offer a whole bunch of products and services fitted for every farm, but it's up to us to kind of sort through that and really deliver that with a Crystal Valley brand on it and message. And we gain a lot of trust of our growers with our data by doing that. So I guess with that, that's a little bit of our information side. The data analysis side is very, very exploratory yet, but I definitely feel we'll get there.